The galaxy's most dangerous military school had a reputation that stretched across countless star systems, a place where only the strongest, fastest, and smartest recruits survived, and where those who failed were forgotten, their names erased from the records of the galaxy. And yet the school continued to train new cadets every year, drawing the bravest, the boldest, and the most aggressive from dozens of planets, each one eager to prove their worth in the deadliest environment imaginable. Where the lessons were brutal, the battles merciless, and every step could mean survival or failure, and this year was no different, except for one small, seemingly unremarkable human named Kale who stepped off the shuttle with a quiet confidence that immediately drew attention for all the wrong reasons, or so the aliens thought, because from the moment his boots touched the landing platform, the alien recruits and trainers alike had begun to whisper, laugh, and exchange glances, noting his smaller frame, his lack of visible armor, and the simple, untrained appearance of his movements, and they were convinced, without a doubt, that this human would break within the first hour, that he would be a lesson for everyone else, a cautionary tale of weakness, and many even placed bets, quietly predicting how long he would survive, imagining the humiliation he would suffer as the machines, weapons, and training systems of the school tore through his defenses. Yet Kale remained perfectly calm, silent, and observant, giving no sign of fear, no hint of doubt, and no indication that he even understood the magnitude of the challenges ahead, and his eyes, dark and steady, scanned the arena, the obstacles, the other recruits, and the instructors, noticing every detail with a precision that belied his unassuming appearance, as if he were analyzing a puzzle that only he could see. And every alien watching him missed the subtle movements of his gaze, the slight adjustments of his posture, the way he calculated distances, angles, and timings with a natural understanding that came not from training but from instinct and intellect honed through experience far beyond what anyone could imagine. And while the alien recruits stretched, practiced, and prepared themselves for the day, laughing at him quietly behind his back, Kale simply walked toward the arena with steady steps, each footfall deliberate, as though he were carrying not just himself but a strategy, a plan, and a patience that would soon reveal itself in ways the aliens could not foresee. And as he approached the edge of the training field, he noted the weapons scattered across the platforms, the mechanical traps designed to test strength and reflex, and the simulation drones programmed to attack without mercy, and in that moment, he recognized patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities, understanding more in a single glance than most cadets could grasp in weeks of training, and he stored every observation silently in his mind, his calm expression never betraying the storm of calculation and anticipation swirling inside him, while the aliens continued to scoff, whisper, and underestimate him, convinced that their centuries of military superiority would crush the human instantly. Yet Kale had already begun forming mental notes, predicting the first attacks, planning his first moves, and imagining how he could use their arrogance against them, how a single misstep by the alien instructors could become his advantage, how even a small error in the training system could be turned into a trap for those who thought themselves untouchable. And he remained patient, understanding that the first challenge would be only a test, that survival depended not on brute strength alone but on observation, cunning, and timing, and he was prepared to endure, adapt, and strike with precision when the moment demanded, all while keeping up the appearance of a normal, unassuming recruit, quiet, humble, and unremarkable to the casual eye, yet deadly in thought and awareness, capable of turning even the most confident alien predictions against them, and every whisper, every laugh, every dismissive glance only sharpened his focus, confirming that the galaxy's military school had made the one mistake it would soon regret, that they had judged him by size, by appearance, and by what they believed to be his weakness, and Kale, patient, intelligent, and relentless, was already preparing to reveal that the wrong human had arrived, that the underestimated recruit could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast every expectation, and that the moment he stepped fully into the arena, the alien instructors and cadets would witness something they had never seen before, a human not just surviving but observing, learning, and preparing to become the ultimate threat in a place designed to break the strongest of warriors. And as he paused at the starting line, taking in the arena one final time before the first alarm sounded, a small, confident smile touched his lips, because Kale knew that patience, calculation, and silent courage would soon turn every laugh into disbelief, every scorn into fear, and every doubt into respect. And in that quiet, deliberate calm, the galaxy's most dangerous military school had unknowingly welcomed its greatest challenge yet, a human who seemed ordinary, untrained, and weak. Yet inside him burned something no alien had ever seen before: patience, cunning, and relentless courage, ready to turn the tables and leave the galaxy questioning everything they thought they knew about humanity. The first test at the galaxy's deadliest military school was designed to break even the most experienced recruits, a brutal combination of physical challenges, mental puzzles, and simulated combat scenarios that had defeated warriors from countless planets, and the alien instructors expected Kale to fail immediately, to collapse under pressure, or to be humiliated before the other cadets. But as the simulation began, Kale remained calm, his small frame moving with quiet confidence as he studied the arena, observing every detail from the swinging obstacles to the shifting platforms, the hidden pressure plates, and the patrol drones that patrolled the field with precise, deadly movements, and he noted the timing of each hazard, the patterns of the drones, and the reactions of the alien cadets around him, most of whom were struggling or panicking under the pressure, shouting instructions and pushing themselves beyond limits. And the instructors watched closely, eager to see him break, whispering predictions to each other about how long he would last, while Kale took careful steps, avoiding unnecessary risks, keeping his body relaxed yet ready to react instantly, and every movement was deliberate, his eyes never leaving the drones or obstacles, calculating angles, distances, and timings with a precision that made him almost invisible in the chaos, as if he were part of the arena itself rather than a participant in it. And while the alien cadets lunged, dodged, and collided, Kale moved quietly, slipping past attacks, deflecting blows, and using his smaller size to his advantage, fitting into spaces they could not reach, ducking behind barriers they had ignored, and observing the weaknesses in their strategies. And when an instructor sent a sudden burst of energy toward him, the cadets expected him to be fried instantly, but Kale anticipated the attack, pivoted at the perfect moment, and let the energy blast pass harmlessly past him, and the aliens watching gasped, realizing that this human had reflexes, instincts, and an understanding of the arena that they had not predicted, and they began to whisper nervously among themselves, unsure if they had made a mistake in judging him so quickly. Every time a new challenge appeared, a trap that swung with lethal speed, a mechanical predator that lunged without warning, or a sudden wall of energy that blocked the path, Kale adapted instantly, noting patterns, predicting movements, and acting with calm precision, his mind working faster than anyone else's, and he began to use his surroundings creatively, taking advantage of obstacles to shield himself, using traps meant for others to his benefit, and outmaneuvering cadets who had years of training and experience on him, and yet he did not reveal his full strength, keeping just enough in reserve to surprise anyone who thought they understood his abilities. And the other cadets, seeing his success, began to feel a mixture of fear and admiration, realizing that the human was not only surviving but doing so in a way that no one had ever expected, and even some instructors began to second-guess their predictions, noting the precision, patience, and cunning that Kale displayed in every move, and they began to understand that his strategy was not brute force but intelligence, observation, and timing, a combination that was difficult for even the most advanced alien warriors to counter. And Kale continued forward, his focus absolute, never distracted by the shouts, the chaos, or the laughter of those who had mocked him before, because he knew that in the arena, attention and calm were more powerful than anger or aggression, and every misstep by his opponents became an opportunity for him to gain an advantage, every hesitation a way to advance further without revealing the full extent of his skill. And as the simulation reached its peak, with obstacles moving faster, drones attacking more aggressively, and cadets around him faltering under pressure, Kale remained steady, analyzing, predicting, and adapting, and he found openings that no one else could see, slipped past deadly attacks with near-perfect timing, and positioned himself in ways that made him untouchable while others struggled. And when the final challenge of the test appeared, a massive mechanical predator designed to target the strongest cadets first, the instructors expected Kale to fail, to be caught or crushed instantly, but he anticipated its movements, noted the pattern in its attacks, and used the environment to evade it, luring it into a trap he had calculated in seconds. And by the end of the simulation, Kale stood unharmed while the top alien cadets around him were exhausted, injured, or completely overwhelmed, and the instructors could not hide their shock, whispering urgently to each other about the human who had survived every impossible obstacle, had outmaneuvered every trap, and had demonstrated patience, intelligence, and skill that rivaled the best warriors in the galaxy. And the alien cadets who had mocked him now looked at Kale with a mix of fear and respect, realizing that this human, smaller and weaker than they had assumed, had turned the first test into a showcase of his abilities, proving that he was far more than what anyone had expected, and that the galaxy had trained the wrong human, one who was not only surviving but already beginning to show that he could outthink, outmaneuver, and ultimately surpass every expectation set before him. Weeks had passed since Kale's first test, and the galaxy's most dangerous military school continued to challenge recruits with ever harsher exercises, but Kale's calm, patient approach allowed him to study everything in ways no one else could. He observed the alien cadets as they trained, noting their strengths and weaknesses, memorizing their movements, reactions, and even the smallest habits that revealed how they thought and acted under pressure. And he analyzed every trap, obstacle, and weapon in the training grounds, seeing patterns that instructors assumed were random, understanding sequences that the designers believed were unpredictable, and while the alien cadets were focused on brute strength, speed, or firing weapons aggressively, Kale quietly calculated angles, distances, and timings, predicting hazards before they even appeared and planning his actions in advance with precision that no one could match. And he kept his true ability hidden, pretending to struggle at times, letting the aliens underestimate him again and again, while secretly building an advantage that would one day become unstoppable. And at night, when the Academy's lights dimmed and the cadets returned to their quarters exhausted, Kale often stayed awake, examining holographic simulations, practicing stealth maneuvers, and studying alien technology, analyzing the way their ships, weapons, and armor functioned, discovering flaws and possibilities that even top instructors had overlooked. And he quietly improved his skills, not just physically but mentally, turning knowledge into power in ways that the other cadets could not comprehend, and this silent preparation made him invisible yet deadly, patient yet unstoppable, and when minor tests were thrown at him, traps designed to push recruits to the limit, he used them to sharpen his understanding of how the Academy operated, noting timing of drones, weaknesses in automated defense systems, and patterns in the instructors' behavior, all of which would later give him advantages beyond imagination. And while the alien cadets laughed at him in public, calling him clumsy or untrained, they had no idea that every failure he pretended to have was part of a much larger plan, every misstep a teaching moment for himself, every small challenge a rehearsal for situations far more dangerous, and the instructors, confident in their design of the Academy, believed that Kale was still ordinary, that their traps and simulations would soon break him, but they did not see the depth of his observation, the patience that allowed him to analyze the battlefield, and the intelligence that enabled him to turn disadvantages into opportunities. And Kale began experimenting with alien technology he had seen during the day, carefully handling weapons, tools, and drones, noting how they worked, testing their limits without alerting anyone, and discovering unexpected ways to manipulate, control, or bypass them, all while maintaining the appearance of a humble, unremarkable cadet who had no idea of the dangers around him, and his patience was unending, for he understood that in this Academy, rushing, showing off, or reacting hastily would only expose him to failure, and by remaining calm, quiet, and observant, he could learn more from every mistake, every challenge, and every interaction than any cadet who relied solely on strength or aggression. And slowly, a pattern emerged. Kale was becoming not just a survivor, but a strategist, a thinker, and a planner who could anticipate problems and act before anyone else even realized there was a challenge, and the subtle power he built was invisible to all around him, giving him a hidden edge that no one could predict. And as new recruits joined the Academy, unaware of Kale's skill, he continued to study them, noticing weaknesses, tendencies, and fears, and cataloging every detail for future advantage. And one night, during a routine security exercise, Kale found an unguarded section of the Academy where dangerous prototypes were tested, and while others would have ignored them or simply observed from afar, Kale approached cautiously, analyzed the systems, and began experimenting with the technology, understanding its potential and discovering ways to use it to turn any challenge into an opportunity, and he did so without alarming the instructors or other cadets, quietly turning the Academy itself into a tool for his learning and preparation. And every step of this hidden training strengthened him mentally, physically, and strategically, until even the instructor's best cadets began to notice subtle changes, noticing that Kale moved differently in simulations, reacted faster to attacks, and handled situations with a precision that seemed impossible for someone his size or experience. And murmurs began to circulate among the elite cadets that perhaps this human was more than he appeared, that maybe their initial laughter and mockery had been a terrible mistake, and Kale, as always calm and patient, continued quietly observing, planning, and improving, knowing that the galaxy had underestimated him, that they had trained the wrong human, and that one day, this hidden edge, nurtured in secret, would turn him into a force that no one could stop, a threat the Academy itself could not contain. And in that quiet, careful preparation, Kale's ultimate power began to grow, invisible, unstoppable, and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself to a galaxy that had foolishly laughed at him. The Academy announced the next trial, a test no cadet had ever fully survived, designed to push recruits to their absolute limits in strength, intelligence, and strategy, and when the news spread, the alien cadets laughed at Kale once again, mocking him openly in front of the trainers and each other, certain that this human would fail first, that he would collapse under the pressure of moving obstacles, deadly drones, and the unpredictable battlefield hazards, yet Cale did not flinch or react. His calm presence unsettling some of the elite cadets who could not understand why he seemed so unbothered, and when the trial began, the field opened like a maze of chaos, walls shifting, lasers scanning unpredictably, energy traps swinging and pulsing, while drones darted aggressively through the arena, targeting anyone who made the slightest mistake, and most cadets charged forward recklessly, moving fast but unthinking, their confidence turning quickly into fear as the obstacles forced them into mistakes, collisions, and traps, and the instructors whispered among themselves, confident that the human would finally falter and be a warning to others. Yet Cale moved differently, deliberately, observing every hazard, every movement of the drones, and every reaction of his alien peers, calculating patterns that no one else had noticed, timing each step perfectly, and using his small size and agility to slip into spaces the larger cadets could not reach, ducking, rolling, and weaving as if the obstacles were extensions of his own body, all the while memorizing the responses of drones and hazards, predicting where the next attack would come from, and using each misstep by the other cadets to create new opportunities, turning their failures into lessons for himself and stepping lightly into openings that no one else saw. And as the trial continued, Cale began to manipulate the battlefield subtly, triggering traps in ways that redirected attacks away from him and toward those who had underestimated him, his movements precise, controlled, and silent, and while the alien cadets struggled, panicked, and shouted, Cale's calm focus allowed him to complete objectives faster, avoid dangers more efficiently, and quietly demonstrate skill that was impossible to anticipate, and instructors who had watched his progress began whispering among themselves, noting that this human had not only survived previous challenges but was now outperforming cadets with years of experience and the galaxy's most advanced training. And as the trial reached its deadliest stage, a vast energy barrier descended across the field, cutting off escape routes and increasing the difficulty of the moving platforms and the attacks from the drones. Most cadets froze in fear or stumbled into hazards, but Cale adjusted instantly, reading the timing of the barrier's pulses, predicting the drone's attack sequences, and using the chaos to his advantage, maneuvering through the field with a combination of observation, timing, and cunning that no alien had ever demonstrated before, and he used every distraction, every moving hazard, and even the errors of other cadets to create paths that allowed him to advance while others faltered, and some of the elite cadets began to realize that they had misjudged him entirely, that the human's calm, patient, and intelligent approach gave him an edge far beyond brute strength or speed, and whispers spread quickly through the arena that Cale was no ordinary recruit, that his ability to adapt, anticipate, and use the environment against his opponents was frightening, almost unnatural, and as the trial neared its climax, instructors tried to intervene with additional surprises, sending faster drones, activating hidden energy traps, and forcing the field into more complex configurations, yet Cale handled everything with the same patience and focus, reading each new threat in a single glance, predicting every motion before it happened, and turning even the deadliest surprises into advantages, all while maintaining an outward appearance of quiet humility, never showing anger, panic, or overconfidence. And by the time the trial ended, Cale had not only completed every objective but had outperformed the top cadets by a wide margin, leaving instructors speechless and alien recruits staring in disbelief, realizing that the human they had mocked and dismissed was not only surviving but dominating in ways they could not understand. And for the first time, whispers of fear replaced laughter, and some cadets began to wonder if this human was more than just a survivor, if perhaps he had become a force that could challenge anyone in the galaxy. And as Cale walked calmly from the arena, observing the reactions of those around him, his mind was already planning for the next challenge, already calculating how to use every new piece of knowledge he had gained. And the academy itself seemed to shift under his quiet influence, as if the very systems and obstacles that had been designed to break cadets were instead preparing him to become the ultimate threat, a human the galaxy had trained the wrong way, a human whose patience, cunning, and unstoppable determination were only beginning to show. And as he disappeared from view, the alien cadets whispered nervously to each other, knowing that the laughter of the past had ended, replaced by fear, and the galaxy had begun to see that Cale was no ordinary recruit, but a calculating, unstoppable force waiting for the perfect moment to prove it. The final test before graduation was known as the Breaking Point, a legendary trial designed to crush even the strongest recruits and separate the truly exceptional from the rest, and the Academy's instructors prepared every detail with deadly precision, ensuring that traps, drones, moving obstacles, and unpredictable energy hazards would challenge every skill the cadets had learned over months of grueling training. And the alien cadets sneered at Cale once more, convinced that this human Despite surviving previous trials, would finally falter under the immense pressure, that he would be the first to fail and provide a moment of pride for every alien who had doubted him. But Kale did not react, his calm eyes scanning the arena as he observed every detail, memorizing the timing of traps, predicting drone movements, and calculating the effects of shifting obstacles, understanding more in seconds than most cadets could grasp in hours. And as the trial began, chaos erupted across the field with alarms blaring, walls shifting violently, energy beams cutting across paths, and drones attacking relentlessly. Yet Kale moved with precision, timing his steps perfectly, ducking, rolling, and slipping past attacks that would have ended the careers of the best cadets. And while others panicked, screamed, or ran blindly, Kale stayed composed, noting every mistake his opponents made, using their errors to gain small advantages, and adapting instantly to the changing arena with a strategy that no one else could understand. And when one of the top alien cadets tried to block his path, Kale sidestepped, using the alien's momentum against him, sending him crashing into a hazard. And without hesitation, Kale pressed forward, unbothered by the complexity of the challenges, reading every obstacle, every movement, every change with a clarity that left instructors and cadets alike staring in disbelief. And as the trial escalated, more traps appeared, energy walls that pulsed randomly, swinging blades, automated drones with advanced targeting systems, and unstable terrain that shifted beneath the cadets' feet. Yet Kale analyzed everything in real time, predicting patterns, timing movements, and using the environment against his opponents. And even when a massive mechanical predator was released into the arena to target the most skilled cadets first, Kale studied its behavior, noted the timing of its attacks, and moved in ways no one else could, luring it into a trap. He had identified moments before, avoiding harm while others were injured or eliminated, and the alien cadets who had mocked him now whispered in fear and awe, realizing that Kale's patience, intelligence, and observation had turned him into a force that no one had anticipated. And the instructors themselves were stunned, unable to hide their shock as Kale completed the most impossible obstacles with near-perfect timing, outmaneuvered drones and hazards, and coordinated his own movements like a master strategist, all while maintaining the appearance of a calm, humble recruit, never showing arrogance, panic, or fatigue. And the final stage of the trial, a vast arena filled with unpredictable energy barriers, shifting walls, and multiple attacking drones, was supposed to separate the elite from the ordinary. Yet Kale approached it with the same quiet confidence, calculating every movement, predicting every hazard, and adjusting instantly to each new threat. And when the other top cadets struggled, faltered, or were injured, Kale moved effortlessly, using their mistakes to his advantage, and every step he took seemed deliberate, invisible, yet deadly. And as the trial neared its climax, the instructors realized the truth they had feared. The galaxy had trained the wrong human, a cadet who was not only surviving impossible challenges but outsmarting and outperforming the most advanced warriors the Academy had ever trained. And Kale, patient, observant, and relentless, completed the trial without a single injury, every move calculated, every hazard anticipated. And when the final alarm sounded to signal the end, he stood alone in the center of the arena, victorious, while cadets who had once mocked him stared in disbelief, some trembling, some speechless, and the instructors exchanged urgent whispers, recognizing that Kale had become more than a survivor, more than a competitor, and had turned into a strategist, a threat, and a force that the Academy could not contain. And as he walked calmly from the arena, observing the fear and awe around him, Kale knew that patience, intelligence, and the ability to adapt would make him unstoppable, and that the galaxy had no idea what was coming, that the human they had underestimated had become the ultimate threat, ready to face anything the universe could throw at him. The galaxy's most dangerous military school had never seen a cadet like Kale, and after surviving the breaking point, the instructors and alien generals finally realized the truth that had been hidden beneath his calm exterior all along. They had trained the wrong human, one who was not just strong or skilled but intelligent, patient, and cunning beyond measure. And as Kale walked through the Academy's central courtyard, the whispers of fear and awe followed him, cadets staring in disbelief, while instructors struggled to maintain their composure, knowing that the rules, systems, and strategies designed to test and break the strongest recruits had failed against him. And even the alien cadets who had once laughed openly were now cautious, stepping aside as Kale passed, some lowering their heads in respect, others with hands trembling slightly as they realized that a force unlike anything the galaxy had seen had emerged among them. And Kale himself remained calm, observing, calculating, and thinking several steps ahead, noting the positions, movements, and expressions of everyone around him, already anticipating how to use the Academy, its systems, and even his opponents to his advantage in ways they could not predict. and as he entered the main hall where instructors and top cadets gathered, the generals of multiple star systems watched him silently, their expressions a mix of disbelief and fear. And murmurs spread quickly. This human, underestimated at first glance, had become unstoppable, a strategist, a survivor, and a threat to anyone who dared challenge him, and Cale's mind worked like a well-oiled machine, analyzing weaknesses, opportunities, and potential outcomes, storing every detail, and calculating moves for scenarios the galaxy had not yet imagined. And while the other cadets flexed their strength or fired weapons aggressively, Cale relied on observation, timing, and patience, a combination that made him nearly untouchable. And as he trained in simulations, practiced maneuvers, and studied advanced tactics, he began demonstrating skills that left even the top instructors speechless, coordinating attacks in ways that seemed impossible, anticipating hazards before they appeared, and turning the Academy's most dangerous exercises into controlled environments where he was always in command, and the whispers turned into open discussions among the instructors. This human is beyond our expectations. We misjudged him. He is a threat the galaxy cannot ignore. And Cale, listening quietly while appearing humble, understood the power of being underestimated, knowing that the fear, respect, and uncertainty he had created would give him the ultimate advantage when real threats appeared. And as days turned into weeks, Cale's reputation spread beyond the Academy, stories of his unmatched survival, intelligence, and skill reaching fleets, generals, and commanders across the galaxy, causing some to question if humanity had been underestimated for centuries. And while others prepared to test him further, Cale's mind was already several moves ahead, predicting strategies, counterattacks, and failures before anyone could act. And when the final graduation trials approached, designed to crown the elite of the Academy, Cale moved through them as he had always done, with calm precision, intelligent observation, and flawless timing, outmaneuvering the strongest cadets, anticipating every hazard, and turning even the most advanced weaponry against those who thought they could challenge him. And instructors could not hide their astonishment, realizing that Cale had not only survived every possible threat but had grown stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than any cadet they had ever trained. And when the final trial ended, the Academy itself acknowledged his supremacy, and the alien cadets who had once mocked him now regarded him with a mix of awe and fear, knowing that they could never match his combination of patience, cunning, and adaptability. And as Cale stood on the observation platform overlooking the Academy grounds, calm and composed, he understood that his journey was only beginning, that the galaxy had never seen a human like him, and that every plan, strategy, and lesson learned within the walls of the Academy had prepared him to face challenges beyond imagination. And even the galaxy's most powerful fleets and generals would soon discover that the human they had underestimated had become an unstoppable force, a strategist and warrior whose patience, intelligence, and relentless determination made him the ultimate threat. And as Cale looked toward the stars, he knew that the universe had underestimated humanity, that the galaxy had made a mistake in assuming humans were weak, and that his time had come to prove that one underestimated human could change everything, rewrite expectations, and leave an entire galaxy in awe and fear. For Cale was no longer just a cadet, no longer merely a student. He had become a force that the galaxy could not predict, contain, or defeat, and the legacy of the human who had survived, adapted, and dominated the Academy would echo across the stars for generations, a reminder that even the most unlikely recruits, when trained wrong, could become the ultimate threat. And the galaxy would never forget the name Cale, the human who had outsmarted, outlasted, and outmaneuvered everyone, becoming an unstoppable force that no one, alien or human, could ignore.